And welcome to the next episode of Shredded Cels. This is episode 4. We are a part of Tech Heads, which is part of AVW Productions, a student-run video production organization here at Ohio University. My name is Alex Schmitz, and joining me today is Jeremy Zajac. Woo! And Matt Lunn.
Howdy.
All right, yes, this is our 4th episode here. We're starting to get into the groove of podcasting. Last week we did one on The Secret World of Arrietty that I'm sure you guys have all listened to at this point. If you haven't, you must watch it now. But real quick, we're going to get into some emails, actually, that my sisters sent in not too long ago.
Nepotism.
Yeah, they sent them in a couple weeks ago, and they're more related to Arrietty, but I forgot to read them on the podcast.
Well, you better read them now.
Which is why I'm going to read them now. Matt. Jeez.
Better not have this problem, or we're going to start confusing the viewers or the listeners.
Listeners, not viewers.
Well, maybe they view stuff. Maybe they can see our sound waves.
Okay. This one says, "Hi, Alex. I love the first 2 episodes of Shredded Cels. I wonder what your opinion on the new Studio Ghibli being released in America, The Secret World of Arrietty, and what do you think about Disney Channel stars voicing the main characters? For starters, Emma, that's my sister Emma, you need to learn how to spell, because this is pretty terrible."
Yeah, that's right, Alex. You put her down right on the radio. By the time this gets up on the air, you'll have already come back from spring break.
Pretty much.
You'll be dead.
I'll be dead. Yeah, she'll have killed me already.
Oh, well.
If you want to know our opinions on The Secret World of Arrietty, you should check out our other podcast. I think we are all pretty favorable to the voice actors. It wasn't
bad.
It wasn't the Jonas Brothers or whatever they're on.
For Ponyo.
Yeah, Ponyo.
Ponyo.
Oh, you're going to do that?
No, I mean, all it is just Disney self-promoting. One thing I would like to see in maybe some of future Ghibli films is actually going back to the A-list actors that they did for, like, Castle in the Sky or, Princess Mononoke.
Or, at least not Disney stars.
Disney stars, yeah. But it was okay. I did not have a problem with Secret World Arrietty. I thought it was properly cast. I mean, there were no voices that were, really turning off. I mean,
Like Liam Neeson.
Yeah. I still liked him for Ponyo. He was just creepy. It didn't fit, but it's just like, okay, I like it.
Again, the quote to the Nostalgia Critic, The Nightmare Before Cthulhu.
I love that.
He's like if Tim Burton did Super Mario Sunshine.
I would go see that movie. If they ever made that, I'd be the first in line.
Talk into the mics.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. I have to keep these guys in line here. They're very disobedient podcast hosts.
Excuse me. Alex, you are half my size. I will eat you alive.
It's 2 versus 1.
All right. I'll take you guys on.
So what's the next
on.
email?
You go for his scrawny little legs.
Yes, the next one says, "Hi, I'm Olivia, Alex's little sister. I finally caught up on your guys' anime podcast, so I felt the need to send you an email. I've never heard of the anime you're doing next, or at least the one you claimed you would do on the Gurren Lagann episode, but I would like to say one thing. I hope you'll do a Full Metal special soon, because if you do, I'll give Alex a hug the next time I see him. Also, one of my fellow video game nerd friends from school, who is incapable of drawing, showed me his picture of Dark Tingle from The Legend of Zelda that he drew while very bored in science class. I thought you could add it to your wall because it's really ugly but really funny. Sorry if the attachment doesn't work. I may send in some very pathetic fan art of my own if I feel like it. Olivia." And so right here we have her classmate's drawing of Dark Tingle from The Legend of Zelda.
Now, how old are your sisters?
Olivia is in 7th grade.
Okay, because I don't know if Baccano is really the greatest show.
No,
definitely not.
No, I wouldn't really even suggest Gurren Lagann for that matter.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, she's seen some of the early episodes of Gurren Lagann.
Okay.
But yes, I should let our listeners know this picture of Dark Tingle is like a demented demon elf with a little hat and looks like an ocarina for a necklace. I'll pass it around if you guys are interested.
You don't need to pass it around.
It's got perhaps the greatest derp eyes I have ever seen.
Yes, it does have some great derp eyes, as you say. We might hang it on our wall. We'll figure that out. All right, so we got through the emails. Now, Matt actually has a little bit of news to tell us about some upcoming anime.
Oh, yes. The spring season is about to come upon us in April next month. And there are particularly 4 animes that I've got interested in. The first one is Lupin the Third, The Woman Called Fujiko Mine. Now, granted, I'm not really a big Lupin the Third person. I'm even really suspicious on this. The fact that the title is Fujiko means it's probably going to be blatantly with fan service. But I'm gonna give it a shot, mainly because the director and the character designer / anime director they interest me. For the director, it's Sayo Yamamoto. She's done the storyboards for Eureka 7, the Evangelion 2.0, Panty and Stocking, High School of the Dead, and Gunslinger Girl. So this is her first directorial director position. So it's always good to see new people come out. And then as far as character designs and animation, it's being done by Takeshi Koike, who's responsible for Redline, the animation in Cardcaptor Sakura, Giant Robo, Trigun, Badlands Rumble, and Afro Samurai. So that's show number 1. We'll see how it goes. It's a different style of Lupin, so I'm curious about it.
Yeah.
Then the next one is Eureka 7...
Ow.
Yeah, that was the major opinion that I've got of this series so far, just because the original writer is not part of it, and they're making a sequel. I mean, they've got the director of the show is one of the chief directors of episodes from the original series, but kind of iffy on it. It seems like they're redoing the same thing. You've seen this, the beginning of it, Jeremy. You know how Renton the whiny boy, his life sucks, and then all of a sudden, this girl and a robot comes. Well, the way they're making this sound like, it's almost the exact same thing now, and it's like, okay, no. If it's like that, I'm going to turn off after episode 1. I'm sorry.
No one else could see what I just did, but I basically just rolled my eyeballs into the back of my skull and just let out an exasperated sigh.
Yeah. No, the film wasn't bad. They had they did an anime film of the original Eureka 7, and that was actually really good. It took a lot of, I guess the best way to describe it is it was like a fan fiction of the original series, redoing a lot of the characters' roles and reappropriating them and making a motion picture out of it. And it really worked. But I really don't want to see a sequel of the same thing. No thank you. But the next thing we've got on here is Sakamichi no Apollon, also known as Kids on the Slope. It's an anime featured about jazz, and it's the director of it is Shinjiro Watanabe, the same director of Cowboy Bebop.
Okay, I want to see this. I don't care what it's about. Now I need to see it.
Now, yeah. This is the big one on the list. It's a Notamina animation show, so it's only going to be about 11 to 13 episodes. But what's really great about this is we've got the director who's coming back. He's directed Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo, and Macross Plus. And then to make it even better, Yoko Kanno, the person who did the music in Cowboy Bebop, she's coming back too.
I can only take so much. And you know what? Just shut up and take my money.
Well, she's also done some of the other soundtracks she's done is Darker Than Black, Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, Magnetic Rose. She's the one of the best music producers for anime out there.
Shut up and take my money.
So it sounds like you're definitely interested in that. I'm really interested. It's about jazz, and you don't have enough anime about that. Most of it's moe, and no thank you.
Yeah, I have not seen many of the other anime you have on your little list there, but that one sounds very interesting because obviously Cowboy Bebop is great, and I watched a little bit of Samurai Champloo, and I didn't really get invest in the series, but I was able to admire it for sort of the cool soundtrack and the really fluid animation and fight scenes and everything.
Okay, Alex, the best way to describe Macross, you remember Muppet Man from Gurren Lagann?
Muppet Man?
Have you seen Macross Plus?
I've seen some of it.
Okay, because it's like a 4-episode OVA thing.
Yeah. If memory serves right, basically, they basically all have the exact same personality, mash all the buttons, shoot all the weapons all at once.
It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't my favorite. I know a lot of old-timer anime people say, oh yeah, Macross Plus, that's where the anime was, and it's, no thank you. It wasn't my thing.
That redneck accent, you said the word anime, just made my day.
And for the final anime we've got on the list, that actually piqued my attention is it's called Yuchi Koidai translated as Space Brothers. What's really there's not a whole lot of information on this other than one of the most notable things is the voice actor Hiroki Hirata. It's the same voice actor who plays Sanji from One Piece. And when you listen to the trailer, you can definitely hear it's him. But basically, the premise of this story is basically about two brothers who wanted to go up into space. And that's all I know, but apparently it's been very successful in Japan, and they've already got 48 episodes planned for it. So it's not like a 13-episode, let's see how it goes. It's like, no, we're pretty sure this is going to be really good. We're going to put it out. So I'm really interested in seeing that.
Now, you say that's been very successful in Japan, but they haven't actually made it yet, have they?
Yes, there's a manga of it.
Oh,
that's
I
not
see.
come over here to the U.S. yet, but it's been successful enough for them to say, hey, we're making an anime. So I definitely have to say the two anime I'm looking forward most are definitely our jazz one, Kids on the Slope, and Space Brothers. As far as Eureka 7 and Lupin the Third, they seem like they'll be more of a disappointment. But hey, I'll give it a try. I'm pretty happy with this list.
Yeah, well, you were very excited for this new Eureka 7, wanting to rewatch the entire older series.
Yeah, I do. I really would love to rewatch the whole thing, but that's an investment of time that I don't have.
All right, moving on from our little news segment of the week, we're going to get into our anime discussion. For the anime of this week is Baccano. Now, we originally announced this, as Olivia said in her email, on the Gurren Lagann episode, which was at least
episode 2.
Yeah, episode 2. I think that's over a month ago now. So we've had a lot of time to watch this show, and it's a 16-episode series. It was released in 2007 in Japan, I believe.
2009 over here, released by Funimation Entertainment. I do have to say, recommended. This is not a show for young children. It's very violent.
Indeed, there is much Brooklyn rage in this movie.
You can't. What was the little boy's name?
Chez.
You can't tell me with him and the rail tracer that wasn't great.
Yes, there will be spoilers. Just letting everyone know.
I'm not going to spoil it too much. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm going to be discussing spoilers. So,
yeah.
Be aware of that.
You're a bad person, and you should feel terrible.
All right. Well, let's start out with Matt, because you actually did a review of Baccano for the Tech Heads blog.
Now, Jeremy's going to completely disagree with me. He's on the opposite end of it. I give it a 10 out of 10.
I'm not on the opposite end.
Oh, you're not?
I don't really have an opinion on it. It's just kind of...
Well, I guess Alex has made a good point. Like, when someone asks you what was your favorite something, and then when you say... compare it to how did you actually think something was created?
The way I was thinking of it was like a list of my favorite movies of all time versus a list of what I think are the best films of all time. Because my favorites would include things like Star Wars, Toy Story 3, The Dark Knight, films I really love. But if I was making a list of best films, I would probably include things like The Godfather, Citizen Kane, Casablanca, because they're really high quality, from a craft perspective.
Citizen Kane, wow, this is really off topic, but I understand it's very important, but I swear if I hear the words Rosebud one more time, I'm going to punch someone.
Yes. Although that's interesting sort of discussion. What do you think are those sorts of or the equivalent of Casablanca or Citizen Kane or The Godfather in anime? I would think it would be something like Cowboy Bebop, Akira.
No,
Ghost
I
in the
would not
Shell.
put Akira on that list.
That's more of a stupid fun.
It looks beautiful, but quite frankly, the plot's not there. I mean, I'm curious to see what your guys' opinion. Hopefully later this weekend when you guys see Redline. I mean, it's not the most plot driven, but it is one gorgeous of a film. I mean, it really submerses you, and it's action packed. I mean, this isn't about Redline, but granted, I'm curious to see what you guys think. I think that's like I said in my review for that it is the new Akira that people say, is the benchmark for animation.
Right.
But no, going back to Baccano, one of the reasons I thought this series was definitely very well on my list. It's actually I say it was a masterpiece. It was up there with two of my other favorite series, Neon Genesis Evangelion and Gankutsu of the Count of Monte Cristo, which I'm getting tongue.
No, it was just for Evangelion. I haven't seen the other one.
Okay, well, I don't know. I love dark, depressing, weird stuff like that.
I don't mind dark and depressing, but I do mind pretentious.
Okay, well, the point. One thing I had to admit to Baccano is too bad I don't have it here right now. I was supposed to bring it up for the show, but looking at the list of what was made in 2007, Gurren Lagann was another title from this year. But other than that, I think Spice and Wolf, but there weren't too many other titles that were necessarily, really good titles.
Yeah, I recognized. I looked at a quick list of like anime that came out in 2007. I recognized like Gurren Lagann, Baccano. There were a couple other ones that I recognized, but they weren't nearly as famous or prominent.
Just to horrify some of our viewers out there, I'm pretty sure Bible Black came out in 2007.
I don't even know what that is.
That's a hentai.
Oh no. I remember one of them was Romeo x Juliet.
Oh, Romeo and Juliet. That's another tale I'll have to tell you about. That was Gonzo's attempt again to create another, great piece of literature, because Gonzo, the studio, made Gankutsu, the Count of Monte Cristo, which they did exceedingly well. But when they came to do Romeo and Juliet,
not so much.
Not so much. I mean, I own it, and it's kind of, even for me, it's kind of like, I mean, if I hadn't got it at a cheap price, I probably would have said no.
So that's an out of 10 for you then?
Yeah, it's an But no, one thing I have to credit Baccano is it's not a moe, and I think that's the major Japan, as far as anime recently, it's starting to break away from the moe cutesy Lucky Star like
slightly pederast.
Yes. We're moving away from that, but one thing that I had to give Baccano is the fact that when they laid out these, because the first 13 episodes are more intertwined than the last 3, they had to plan this out. This wasn't, most anime, it's done like, well, what are we going to do, like, especially with Gainax, when they're making a series, it's like, well, what do we do now? Oh, we'll write the script real quick and then animate it. Baccano had to be planned out. There's no way you could have had that, the way, I mean, yes, it was jibber-jabbered, it was different from non-traditional storytelling, and that's what I loved about the most.
Yeah, it's interesting because I saw they had a copy of a DVD of like the first 3 episodes at my library like about a year or 2 ago, and I went and watched that, and I watched the first 3 episodes and saw it then. And then when we did this, I sort of started from there and moved forward.
Which wasn't the smartest idea now, was it?
Well, I got a little bit lost, but I remembered the basics. And after I finished the series, I went back and rewatched like episode 1 and 2. And that sort of cleared up a couple things for me. Because what's interesting about Baccano, for those who don't know, is that episode 1 is essentially the ending of how things sort of turn out with the...
I wouldn't say it can be described as the ending. It's the beginning, it's the end, it's everything. And
it's the end of one of the arcs, I would say.
And I watched this series with my sister, and she's a 10th grader in high school. And she tried to show, the series to one of her friends. And the first episode, the first episode does not hook you. You have to kind of, I know for Jeremy, he never really got hooked, but if you watch that first episode, it's about characters deciding who's the main character. And that's not going to really appeal to most people.
It's not even all the characters. It's just 2 semi-fourth wall breaking characters deciding who's the main character.
I kind of like that, though, because honestly, when I was watching it the very first time, I thought that they were like they weren't actually like humans, like they were some sort of beings, from outside of time or something, like looking at this story. But as it turns out, they're actually, news people, information brokers.
Personally, I would have honestly preferred a little bit more if they truly were just like completely fourth wall breaking characters, a la Deadpool. Because I honestly think that would have actually added to the story a little bit.
Yeah, although I did like, they did break the fourth wall, and that they basically deconstruct the fact that you are watching a story and that there are characters here. And they do that in the very first episode, and then again in the very last episode.
Yeah, and I guess Major, one of the things I loved about Baccano is that there were a few Japanese things Isaac, he had when they had the disguises, he had a samurai helmet. There were a little bit of Japanese culture leaking itself in, but one thing I really loved about it is if I wanted to, I guess, like Cowboy Bebop, if I wanted to introduce someone to anime, this would be a good show. Now, the plot might be a problem. That might be a obstacle to give to someone, but if you're giving it to more of a film person, someone who,
can deal with complex
a little
stories.
bit of Not that I'm saying you couldn't deal with it. I'm just saying, but
Excuse me.
Insulting his intelligence.
Do we need to take this outside? You are wiry.
no, but I guess, like I said, Baccano for me, I had a hard time getting into it, but I marathoned it. I literally watched it in 2 days.
I watched it in one.
Oh, you watched it in one?
Mm-hmm.
Really? I thought you told me that you were up to like episode 6.
I decided to
point.
restart.
Why'd you restart?
It's like, oh, well, maybe it'll help me understand it a little bit better. No.
Sometimes. I don't know. I
don't know. The episode for me that really sort of got me interested was episode 7, where they flash back to the events in the 1700s that sort of really started everything off with the Immortals and everything like that, because that was a very cool sort of sequence.
Yeah, that was interesting, but I have to ask you, Jeremy, did you not like what about Lad Russo? Did you he is one of my favorite characters. He's just this creepy...
I'm going to sound bad here, but which one is he?
Lad Russo is the guy who has his wife, and he's like, I'm the only one who's going to kill you, and he's the one who has to kill everybody. The white suit guy.
Oh, Psycho.
Psycho,
yes, that guy.
Oh, yeah, Norman Bates. He's an interesting character. No, this is my biggest problem, I think, with it was there's too many characters.
There's over 16.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't mind a big cast, but we're like getting the Bleach sizes here, and you know what? If you asked me to name more than 8 characters in Bleach, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
It's
I don't
sort of
watch
the same.
Bleach either, but
You know exactly what I mean.
Yeah,
in this case.
there are a lot of characters. Personally, for me, I had a similar sort of issue. Like, there's so many characters, it is sort of hard
at
to
the
tell.
very beginning.
To remember who's who and who's associated with what, mafia family or what affiliation and what their names are. And then you've got...
But in the end, it all pieces together. Even if it doesn't make complete sense as you're going through, in the end, you get the whole gist of everything. Which is what I liked the most about this series, is the fact that, yeah, you don't understand it completely all the way through, but then it makes sense in the end. And there's another series from the same writer as Baccano that I've heard a lot of people like, and that's Durara.
I've heard of that.
I've started to get into that, actually.
And it's the same person as Baccano. It's just a different storytelling. Now, I've heard people say that in the middle it drops dead, and it's hard to really get past this middle arc or something in it.
I haven't. I don't know.
But it's interesting. I've seen like the first 9 episodes, and I really like that series. I dig it.
I'm a bad anime watcher when it comes down to it. If it's on Adult Swim, I'll watch it. I'm a bad person like that because usually I won't go out of my way to hunt something down.
Yep.
Don't get me wrong. If someone suggests it to me, I will. But if I don't, if I just get random people suggesting it to me, I'm not gonna do it. But if it's someone I know, it's like, oh, okay, I'll go look it up. But someone actually told me the one time, to go watch. I think it was actually Big O.
Yes.
No, before I got into this is like way early on though. The problem was there was no really real way to watch it at that point.
Nope.
It wasn't really running on Adult Swim at that point. Well, at a reasonable time anyway.
So how did you see Big O then?
Later on that year, it's like at one point I just was up late and it's like, oh, hey, this is that show they were talking about. The thing was though, the only other way I could watch Big O was I would have to buy it, and I'm really cheap.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm really, really, really cheap, and I'm not gonna just take something on suggestion.
But that's also has to do with like Bandai Entertainment. Why did they go out of business? Because if you look at all the shows they own, other than like Gurren Lagann and Ghost in the Shell, which were joint partnerships with like Manga Entertainment,
Gainax.
Manga Entertainment had like those shows specific. They joint owned in them. Anything that was really Bandai Entertainment, other than Code Geass, it never went online. Why? Because the Japanese don't like it going online. They're very... If you look at the way the Japanese business model of how they sell things over there, you realize when you buy anime over here, you're getting like nowadays like 13-episode box sets for like $40, even cheaper sometimes if you find it on sale online. You never buy brick and mortar anymore. But in Japan, they're paying, $100 for like 2 to 3 episodes a disc.
Is that $100 American or 100 yen?
No, like we're talking $100 in yen. So
it's like $4 or $5 American.
No, I'm not talking like 100 yen. I'm talking like
100. Oh,
the equivalent of $100.
Equivalent of $100 over here.
Yeah, that's too much for me. I'm sorry. That's gouging.
It is gouging.
That's
but
plain as
the
day
reason
gouging.
the reason that happened is originally the way Japan worked is it actually adopted our system. Is before you had like VHS tapes back in the day, they were expensive. And the only people who could buy the VHS or tapes were your blockbusters, and they had a monopoly. But then once in Japan, what happened is, and like over here in the U.S., your blockbusters and stuff, they slowly faded away. So what did the market do? They started instead of having it at a high price and selling it to these media distributors, they gave it to for you to buy, for you to collect. But in Japan, only a very few people were paying these skyrocketing prices, and that's what supported the industry. Is they're like, oh, these otaku, they're paying $300 for this, huh? And they just stick with it because they don't have video rentals in Japan as much anymore. And guess who's supporting the anime industry? Is these?
No, not me. Not me.
Not Jeremy.
But
not me.
Well,
it's all Matt.
I thought I was going to answer
not
the
even
question.
me. Yeah, there's one thing I really recommend for anyone who's curious to understand the economics of Japanese animation. If you go on Anime News Network right now, they've got the Anime Economy article going on. It's a 3-part series going to depth of the different systems of how your money goes back to the Japanese and how something's produced, and it's interesting. But
interesting. All right. Well, let's
get back on Baccano.
Back to Baccano here and
see what I do.
It's all Jeremy's fault. But no, as you were mentioning Lad Russo, and personally, he was one of my favorite characters as well. I just loved how sort of psychotic he was. I'm not sure who his voice actor was, but he did a really great job performing him and making him seem, threatening. And I think Giguk, who is this anime reviewer on YouTube, he did a countdown of like his favorite anime villains, and Lad Russo was near the top, and he basically made the point that he's one of the only characters on that train that isn't immortal, yet they all fear him more than anyone else.
Mother, where are you, Mother? Yeah, I'm gonna keep making Norman Bates references every time now when it comes to him.
Yeah. Now, another set of characters that I really loved, of course, are Isaac.
Relief?
Yes, Isaac and Miria.
You didn't like them?
I know who those two are.
Those are the nutty ones. I love them.
The problem is that hyper bubbly attitude finally got on my flippin' nerves by around episode 12.
I'm sorry.
I lost it. I just you know what? I'm sick of this.
I loved Isaac, though, because he always had an answer. If Miria asked the most stupid question, he's going to come up with an answer, and it's obviously wrong, but he's still going to come up with this crazy answer, and I loved that. I loved his voice actor, especially.
J. Michael Tatum.
It was funny the first couple times, but the problem was it got overused, in my opinion.
They did use it a lot, but I think it works because, number one, because of the comedic timing between the two, and their, both of the voice actors really do a great job of imitating each other. I was sort of wondering if maybe they were even recording in the same room, in order to get that timing or inflection.
No, most of the time it's still.
I know normally it's not, but I wonder if it was in that special case. But nevertheless, I thought it worked because of that, and also because the series is very much serious and dark and very bloody and gritty and gory the rest of the time. So they are really the main source of comedic relief in the entire show.
The grim darkness of the past. Actually, there is only ghost people.
But no, with Baccano, I liked how it had 3 separate storylines, and it tried to focus on those 3 and trying to solve. It was a mystery to me, and I loved that about that. It's what's going on here, and in the end, I can see that being a real turnoff. The whole fact that it's not a complete, it's all around. I would all over the place. I would actually think it'd be interesting if someone spliced the video and made it a complete, without the jumps, and see how that would turn out. Whether
do
it be
chronologically.
Do a chronological part of it and see if it was the same. Obviously, being everywhere makes Baccano because what Baccano stands for, it's an Italian word for ruckus.
Right.
So that was the idea. It's a ruckus. But I don't know. I'd be curious to see what it would be like without.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I don't know if either of you have seen the film Memento. It's Christopher Nolan's first film, but it's another film like Baccano that really screws with the story structure, and it goes in a very bizarre order. But that actually, it has a certain order to it because it I think it starts at the end and then it shows bits at the end and then moves backwards from there, and also shows these bits that are in black and white near the beginning of the story, and basically the two things keep going back and forth until you reach sort of the middle of the story, and that's where the finale takes place. Whereas Baccano it's like you say, it's even more chaotic than that. It's just all over the place. But I like seeing non-traditional storytelling. You know, it is a bit more difficult to understand, but it allows you to do some cool things with your characters and sort of take a risk and do
And they had to
unique.
plan it. It wasn't.
Again, that's not what bothered me about Baccano. Wasn't the way the story folded out. It was.
You just didn't enjoy it. I mean, I can't blame you, because you know what? There are shows that people say that they, like some person will say, I absolutely love this. You need to watch it. And I'll watch it, and it's just like, that didn't do anything for me. What's the hype? What's the hubbub? And
No, I can understand why people like this one. I really do. It's just.
it's not for you. And
Yeah, that's fine. Personally, you mentioned that your biggest problem was like the number of characters, and I had that problem as well as far as
Yep.
keeping track of everything. But I was able to the character designs are all really well done because they are all unique. Like all of them look different for the most part in different ways.
They do all look unique, and I'll say the show has that going for it. The problem was, though, with this many characters, it just felt like the Bleach way of solving plot.
I wouldn't say that because the Bleach way of solving plot is when the plot gets stale, add on more characters, more new
It's
characters.
not even when it's the plot doesn't have to go stale in Bleach. Plot hole, new character. Not sure what to do with this plot, new
Baccano
character.
resolved most of the. It wasn't like there were plot holes. I mean,
No, it's nothing like that. It's just that at first that's what it felt like. I understand it.
But it eventually covered everything. Like,
No. I think the biggest problem is though it's like there's so many characters. I don't think they all get enough screen time, and I feel like that suffers because of that.
I could agree with you. I guess here's the question: what if they made a second season? Would you watch that, or would it be too much of a turnoff for you?
I might watch it. It depends who like who or what they focus on in that
because Baccano, it's actually it's a light novel series, and what they covered here in the actual anime was only like the first 4 books, and it's like out of I want to say 16, but that's not right because there's 16 episodes, but I know it's at least 10 books, and they only covered like the first few. So I would love to see if they continued it and see how that went.
Well, it's interesting what you said there, Jeremy, that the characters don't get enough development, and that was honestly my biggest criticism of the show as well. I think certain characters, definitely have more screen time than others, and they get more development that way. People like Jacuzzi Splot, he gets quite a bit of development.
that name.
That name. It is a stupid name.
Well, what did you think of Luck Gandor at the end, and how the whole the one guy who always smiled, and then how Luck Gandor was really like the devil or whatever?
Now, was that Luck Gandor? I didn't.
That was Luck Gandor.
I don't think so.
No, it was. He was the one who's
so serious.
that was Luck Gandor, who was on the side of the building, because his name's Luck, and it is. One thing I don't know if you ever noticed, the names of these characters were Luck Gandor, Burga. I don't know. It's just Sar or the one of the main villains, the Squidzard guy. I just call him Squidward. Whenever I'm talking to him, I'm like, it's Squidward.
It's Zillard, something like that.
Yeah.
Does this face look unsure to you?
Well, I wish this was a video podcast. You could see Jeremy's funny faces.
But no, I mean, yeah, I'll definitely agree with you that they don't get enough screen time. But and most of the time, I like to get to know my characters, and you really don't get to know them that well. It's more of you're just kind of witnessing a story that's going on. But that was the idea of the thing is, I don't know, I think Baccano, it didn't really want you to get personal with your characters. It wanted to focus on more of what's the story and what's going on.
All right. I think at the very end there, they even say like the story has no beginnings or ends. You're basically just seeing like moments from these people's lives, and they had lives before what you saw, and they have lives after what you see. And so kind of like you say, they're showing you this small amount of time where all these specific events happened, and then they sort of just let you go from there.
No, you'll have to go on Hulu tonight and check. I'm dead certain it is Luck Gandor.
I'm researching that as we speak. We will find out.
Oh.
But
Okay, someone's
I
going
thought
to
that was
explain
interesting, though.
Explain that to me slowly. Luck Gandor?
he is the
No, I know who he is, but
Okay.
the way you keep saying it, it's like there's something here I'm missing, and it's starting to bother me.
Oh no, it's just the fact that
It's such a weird name.
the weird name and the fact that remember when Smiley Guy was in the ocean and he was about to drown, and the demon or whatever in the water's like, I'll let you grant one wish or something, and it's like, well, I want to see you smile, and eventually he got to see that. I mean, I don't understand that fully. I think that's something that with the books that we don't know, but I do have to say one of the things I loved in the one of the last episodes was when they pointed to the mouse. Remember the mouse that Squidwarts or whatever he was bashing.
Oh, so that was Zillard. I didn't notice that because I saw in the middle of the opening there was a shot of a guy with a hammer, attacking a mouse.
That's not. It's not in the opening credits.
Well, no, it actually was in the 16th episode during the opening credits. There was a little scene where they're right in the
where they did the. That's the one thing I did like about Baccano is the opening credits would do the clip in what's been going on, trying to redeem itself with trying to keep you up to pace. I mean, it didn't do well, but I loved how the audio where it would, normal opening, and then all of a sudden it's going into depth of, what's been going on, and then the music just goes right back into finishing the opening. If I have to say I agreed with Alex, this is probably one of my favorite openings in anime in a long time.
Yeah, I love the opening was very cool. Definitely one of my favorites. And the soundtrack in general, I just love jazzy soundtracks, kind of like Cowboy Bebop was like that too, but this one especially with that 1930s sort of vibe. I really like that. And to answer your question, I just went on the Wikipedia article list of Baccano characters, and I agree with you because when I first saw the guy in the 16th episode who's supposedly the demon, human incarnation, I thought he looked a lot like Luck Gandor, but he's not Luck Gandor. His name is Ronnie Sukiart. He's a high-ranking executive and secretary of the Martillo family despite his apparent youth. He is revealed to be an incarnation of the demon summoned in 1711 by alchemists hoping to gain immortality.
Yeah, okay.
Was the alchemist named Cornelius Agrippa?
What?
I don't get the joke.
I'm trying to make a reference to Amnesia: The Dark Descent here.
No, we don't know what his name was.
So it wasn't Luck? I thought
no, it was not Luck. You want to see it? Yeah, no, it up ahead at the top of the article, it lists Luck Gandor as a separate character. So he looks very similar, but he's not Luck Gandor.
Okay, well, it's been about 3 months since I saw this.
So you didn't rewatch it?
No, I didn't rewatch it. I figured I had seen the Blu-ray because I went out for Christmas. I'm like, Mommy, Daddy, special edition Blu-ray.
Although now it's interesting that you mentioned that because that was one thing I was thinking throughout this series. Like, when are they going to address the stuff that happened, in that episode 7 back in 1711? And, they leave these threads dangling. And then in the 16th episode, they sort of reveal it with the smiley guy revealing what his wish was. Mm-hmm. And then, revealing that the demon guy, was watching over him. But I personally thought that was a little weak. Like, if they
could have done that better, I'll agree. Because Smiley Guy just popped up for that episode. It's like, where have you been? You should have been here.
He had to fight Batman.
He gave smiles to all the villains of the world.
Why so serious?
But I think personally, if the demon had turned out to be Luck Gandor, that would have been cool. Instead, it turns out to be that Ronnie guy, who's some guy in the background, like in the Martillo family, who never talks.
Hi, I'll be your Deus Ex Machina for today.
Yeah, I'll have to look in that again because I know one series that I'm probably going to rewatch Baccano again this spring break, just because I'm talking to the mic. It's the mic's fault.
Sure it is.
Like Keek.
I'm having my cousin come down for the weekend, and I told him we got to watch this, and it's going to be great. So I'll be curious to see if I can pick it up again. I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. And one other thing I thought was interesting, as far as talking about characters that didn't get enough development, I personally agree with Jeremy in that the series could have
Unicorn.
Yes, he was holding a Pepsi bottle to his forehead, everyone. But I agree that certain characters need, if the series was longer, let's say it was 20 or 24 episodes instead of 16, I think that would give you a lot more room to, give us some more time with these characters because I really liked some of them. And the one in particular I thought didn't get enough development was Huey LaFerre, I believe his name is.
You're gonna have to. Who was that again?
He's the guy back in 1711. The demon specifically came to him because he was like the only one that abstained from voting, and he's the one who's Chane's dad, who's locked up in the present.
Okay.
Who everyone thinks is like there's that group that thinks he's like a deity or whatever, and they're the black coats that go on the train.
See, that
and
could have been
everything.
another thing. Is that should have been more developed as well.
Yeah, and I think him as a character is interesting because the demon, specifically visits him at the end of episode 7. It says like, "Oh, you're very interesting. I'm going to watch you with great interest."
I guess
and then that never appears again. Like
a
it's
question
never
for
mentioned.
Jeremy is: what if the series was longer? What because take the minus the 3 episodes at the end because those I don't like. Those were done in a later date. Those weren't part of the original series, even though they're kind of lumped in. If those original 13 episodes, let's say it was brought out to 26 and you had more screen time with these characters, do you think you would have liked it more? I mean, because that's another plot that I think really didn't get developed. Now that we're mentioning it, there are some little plot details. It's like they could have done more with it, but I think because it's like, oh, we've got 13 episodes, they were limited to it.
Well, yeah, I think if you had added more time onto it, I would have probably enjoyed it more.
But wouldn't that made it more confusing? That's the other thing.
Now, that actually, I honestly think it would actually make it less confusing, is because they're not having plots that just don't really go anywhere. There's a couple of those.
Well, that's interesting. What plots do you think don't go anywhere?
It more has to do with the demons than anything else, I guess.
Yeah, the demon plot it's sort of wrapped up, but not really.
It's not really. They could have
really well done.
But like I said, I think that has to do with the fact that this is only the beginning of the book series. I really would love to see where this goes. Like as far as
when I was looking on Wikipedia, if you look at the different characters, their stories, it follows the anime, but then it also includes all this stuff from the novel. So there's I think there's a whole thing that happens in the 1970s and stuff like that.
It goes through more American history stuff, which I think would be interesting. Just we're not gonna. The chances of this getting made again, it's actually the TV station that produced Baccano is the same that did Big O.
So we'll never see another one.
Wow-O. It's Wow with OW at the end. It's a specific anime channel in Japan that made it, but
so we'll never see this again. Ever.
Probably not, unless Cartoon Network all of a sudden got Baccano and oh, we really like it. Let's make a second. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that because that's what happened to Big O.
They like stuff like Squidbillies.
See, and that's
yeah. Nothing against American. I love American animation. It's just I feel like Squidbillies is the bottom of the barrel.
There's a lot of stuff on Adult Swim that's bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, I would agree.
Now, I noticed, this is a little off topic, when we were working on something else for Tech Heads, the opening of Archer, that is so close to Cowboy Bebop's opening. It's very
I feel like that
similar.
I feel like that's almost... Have you ever actually watched Archer?
Not all the way through.
If anything, it almost feels kind of like a spoof on shows like Cowboy Bebop. It's more like a James Bond spoof than anything else.
Yeah,
but it's I'm sure that they sort of did I'm sure they sort of
that opening was not just decided out of the blue. It definitely resembled
reminiscent of Cowboy Bebop.
See, now
sure.
Archer I like. Archer I think is funny.
Okay.
Well, that's primarily a comedy show. It's not trying to be dramatic and
no, but that's just it. Those Squidbillies is also trying to be funny, and it's just disturbing.
I haven't seen that
William
show.
Street. William Street hasn't came out with much.
All right. Now, getting back to Baccano here, one of the other characters I thought personally was interesting was Claire/Vino, the rail tracer. Because he's sort of this
Spoilers.
character.
Blah, 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 spoilers.
We said spoilers at the very beginning. We've been discussing episode 16.
I know, but this is super spoiler.
And you spiked the mic. I hate you.
Spike the mic.
But no, with him, I think it's interesting because he's obviously, as the rail tracer, he's this horrible monster that rips people to shreds and puts their blood all over his body. But then he acts as a gentleman, and is sort of friendly to Chane and Isaac. It's Miria, he saves them when they almost fall off the train.
But when he sees, it's the little boy's Chez. When he sees, that's the little boy. When he sees Chez, he tortures the crap out of him. Hold him out to the window and burn, like the one dude at the very end of the train. He was just did he put his face down against the track and his face just started?
Yeah, although obviously that's terrible, but I think that guy at least deserved it a little bit because he like killed his mentor, the old train conductor.
Yeah. Well, the one thing, one of my favorite scenes was when the other train conductor, it's the voice actor who plays the Fuhrer from Full Metal Alchemist.
Oh, I recognize
which I
him.
loved that. That's another favorite voice actor of mine is whoever plays the Fuhrer of Full Metal. But no, I love how he's about to kill him, and then Vino just kicks the gun out of his hand, and all of a sudden he's got the gun, and it's just like I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen about the rail train. I loved that. That was one of my favorite scenes, and I got tricked to thinking that it was the young conductor Vino that got killed because you don't see the face of the dead conductor in the back cabin when Jacuzzi spots like he's dead, like freaking out that there's a dead conductor. You don't know which one it is, and you just assume that both of them are dead, but.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because then in the sort of the final 3 episodes, he's sort of, he's pretty nice to most of our characters, that are in that with like Jacuzzi Splat's
He
gang.
still freaks out poor Chez. I felt so bad for Chez.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that
just screamed.
Well, Chez is interesting because he's obviously
he's a brat.
Yeah, pretty much.
Chaz is the one who wears purple, isn't it?
He's the little kid who's
the
immortal.
Little kid. Yeah.
Oh, that annoying little
kid who's
Am I allowed to say the P word?
Probably not.
PR?
No.
Okay.
Let's be on the safe side here.
Okay.
Yeah, I loved when Lad Russo shot his head off because even Lad Russo did not like his character.
Well, he was, I like that because Lad Russo's whole thing is I want to kill people that think that they won't die, and obviously he won't die because he's immortal, and the same thing with Vino and / Claire.
But at the same time, I liked when Chez saw, memory fart. Misa?
Misa.
Yeah. When he saw Misa and he cried, and Misa, because Misa was like the fatherhead of of all those people who were on the ship because he's the one who learned the elixir secret. And I just. The whole story between Squidward and Squid. I'm just gonna say Squidward.
I love that.
It's Squidward.
Yeah, Squidward.
Yeah,
Squidward. Yeah, Squidward.
We love our SpongeBob here.
Yeah, just the fact that Misa's story is actually interesting. I liked Misa's story. If one of the stories that actually I thought that was done appropriately was who Misa was and how he's related to the events that are going on currently and how they went on with the past.
Yeah, Misa is interesting. One of my favorite moments actually was that it's relatively early on in the series, that little knife fight between Misa and Firo when Firo's like trying to get into I think it's the Martillo,
Yes.
crime family. That's a really nice little bit of animation.
So,
all right. Very cool. And just one other thing I wanted to bring up. It was one like plot hole that I sort of thought of that stood out to me because I think it's in episode 15 when Chane gets kidnapped by Graham Spector and his whole gang, and they take her to the warehouse, to hold her for ransom or whatever.
that was another favorite. One of my favorite characters is what was his name again?
Graham Spector.
Graham Spector. I loved how they tied it to the fact that he was a minion of Lad Russo, and then when Vero's like, "Yeah, I just kind of kicked your boss's butt off the train, and that's why he's in jail and stuff." I like that.
Yeah,
that rivalry there.
And when they do the little flashback fight between him and Lad, that was really cool as well.
Mm-hmm.
But when they kidnap her, she doesn't fight back at all, which I thought was a little strange because she's like one of the strongest fighters in the show, and yet she doesn't fight back at all when these people kidnap her. But then later on when she's in the warehouse, she pulls out her knife and is about to fight the guy, and then Vino and Jacuzzi and everyone else shows up.
All at the right time.
Of course. It's got to be dramatic. I don't know. So that was just one little thing that bothered me. But overall, I agree with what you said. This is an anime I would definitely recommend to people who
are going to be able to take a. Not to say that you didn't, because you just had a problem that didn't interest you. I'd have to say if you're interested in that time period, if you like the mafia stuff.
Oh no, I love mafia stuff. It's just that I don't know.
I don't know. So it just didn't click.
Yeah, I think it also had to do with it's like I like mafia and I like supernatural elements, but I don't know. I didn't like it so much meshed.
Okay.
I see. So the whole Immortals thing didn't quite work for you.
It's like, well, the whole idea behind the mafia is organized crime is there to protect each other, and you don't really need protection if you can't die.
Yeah,
suppose.
that's true. That's a good argument to Baccano.
Well, I mean, obviously, organized crime has more to it than that, but at least part of organized crime is that you look out for other people that are part of your organization.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. But no, as for me, I'll still stand. Baccano is probably on my top 10. Just because I really enjoyed the crap out of it. I mean, I'm really looking forward to getting to watch it again. It's unique. I think that's what really drives me to it is the fact that it's non-linear storytelling. And guess what? Most anime, if not all of anime, is a very linear story, point A to point B to point C.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Until the filler.
I like the non-traditional storytelling. Like I said, it would be an anime I would recommend to people who think like all anime is just these, wide-eyed, cutesy, girl shows,
or even shows like Naruto that
right,
really tick
stupid
me off.
Shonen Jump sort of shows. This is one that's a bit more
Naruto
mature
and Bleach, the two
It's not even it's not that I don't dislike all of Shonen Jump's work. I don't. Because again, I might have mentioned this earlier on the show, but I do like Yu Yu Hakusho.
If you think about it though, that's an older one. I mean,
and I do like from what I've seen of One Piece, I enjoy it. It's just that there's something about Naruto and Bleach. It's just like
they kill it.
I think it has to do with the fact that both the main characters are giant Mary Sues.
Yeah, it's interesting because Bleach, I've sort of met on it at this point. I'm still reading Naruto and enjoying it because I really do. Kishimoto does a good job of crafting like this large world, with all this detail and stuff to it, and the villains are quite interesting. Naruto himself is basically become Jesus, Ninja Jesus in the manga. At this point.
We are only allowed to have one flying kung fu Jesus, and that is Neo.
I don't know. Well, and then there's also Avatar: The Last Airbender with Kung Fu Action Jesus.
Hey, you know what? At least do you know what the difference is between Aang and Naruto? Aang is a sympathetic character. Naruto is just obnoxious.
Yeah. I'm going to save the Leaf Village again. Yay!
Is that what he
Every time
like?
he says believe. You can make a drinking game just out of that. But if you somehow watched the whole entire first season, you would die of liver poisoning.
Also, real quick, plug to Little Karibo's abridged series of Naruto, where he points out the fact that Naruto's voice actor sounds like he smokes all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess that...
Yes, we're going to move into our...
So one last comment about Baccano.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. How about you, Alex? I mean, for me, definitely in my top 10. How about you?
Yeah, like I said, I want to give it a 10, but probably more like a 9.5. It is very good. It's one I would recommend to people who want to watch a more sophisticated, mature anime. And it does have some of my favorite characters, and the writing in it is really good, and the fluid animation, all that. So I really enjoyed it.
And then you, Jeremy?
I understand why both of them like it. It was just, it never really clicked with me. I wouldn't probably suggest it to any of my friends because honestly, a lot of my friends like to have their movies handed to them on a silver platter.
They're one of those type of people.
Yeah, they won't admit it, but most of my friends are really lazy when it comes to movies. They don't like having to think about a lot of the stuff.
Gotcha. So they like to. There's a term for that. Like you just like to turn your brain off and enjoy what it is. And I that's what I do with One Piece, especially the One Piece movies. Is it's just like, you know what, I'm just gonna take it for what it is and not even try to really connect it too much.
Yeah, well, I do that with most Shonen Jump movies, because they can't actually affect the storyline at all if the anime is still going on. But we are done with our Baccano discussion. We're going to get into a quick debate about something that's a rather controversial or a topic that people discuss quite often in the anime community, which is the dub versus subs argument. And coming from my perspective, I thought this was an interesting topic to relate with Baccano. I know we're going to go a little longer. It's okay. But the thing that I think about dubs versus subs is with like something with Baccano, it's set in New York in the 1930s. It's something that an English dub is really the only thing that can really capture that in its full sort of essence. Or something like Cowboy Bebop as well as one that I think that has
the pinnacle.
Yeah, really superior.
It's really
dubbing.
good. I mean, from what I've heard, the the Japanese, the sub, I've never actually paid attention to the sub.
No one pays attention to the sub for that.
It's good, but it's just the dub for Cowboy Bebop. Honestly, when I found out there was a subtitle version, I didn't think it was the original how it was originally done at first.
Wow.
Because I just thought the dub was just that much better.
Well, there's other series that like, especially ones that aired on Cartoon Network or Adult Swim back in the day, like Fooly Cooly. I can guarantee you, most people are going to watch that dubbed. Or Trigun. Trigun is a perfect example. I don't think many people are going to go see that sub just because Johnny Young Bosch and his crazy Vash the Stampede is going to obviously. There are times when the dub, especially when it's put to a wide audience, it's going to attract that audience.
Now, another show I feel like I saw dubbed and subbed of it, Gurren Lagann. I feel like the dub version was just a little bit better. It wasn't significantly better. It was just a little bit better because the flow felt better. Like a lot of the characters just felt like they were more powerful. A lot of dubs
nowadays, they're pretty. I'd say they're pretty good. I mean,
we're not. This isn't the 1980s where
the dubs weren't good then.
Well, even so, like even when you were in the 1990s and really, really early 2000s, there's a series known as Nadia: The Secret of Blue Water. It's an old Gynax show. It's really, I really recommend it, but not the dub. That dub is terrible.
Ferocious.
Well, the point, like, they've got a boy and he's a French boy, so you can automatically know what they're going to try to do. What is this? That's not even that's not even French, but that's how he talks, except in a French accent. They try to do, and then what's funny about the show is it's like the early idea or concept of Team Rocket, because you've got this lady. No, not like that. I mean, not doing the whole arm, like, prepare for trouble. But with this anime, you had a girl or a woman named Grandis, and she had the red hair like Jesse's, and she has two henchmen, Hansen and Sansen. Hansen is the white. He's like a more whiter guy.
Yeah.
But the point is getting a little off topic here. Just the point is that is a terrible dub. And you will find terrible dubs every now and then.
Well, I certainly think so. Like we said, I mean, especially back in the 80s, when the English anime industry was really starting to get going, it wasn't nearly to the top quality as it is now. There's, like, when you mentioned Gurren Lagann, and in our little anime community here called JCon, they had a Saturday screening where they showed a bunch of anime movies, and I saw there's this movie for Gurren Lagann that basically takes the second half of the show and puts into a 2-hour movie and adds some things in it.
It's the movie.
Like a new ending to it.
And like Super Mega Ultimate Gurren Lagann.
It literally, that's what it is.
Isn't the whole under theme, the fact that they changed it was for Simone and Kamina to be like, maybe that's the second film, because there's a...
Well, this is the second film. There's a first film and then there's a second one.
Okay, maybe I don't know which one, but one of them they change. I think it's the first one, because that would probably cover the first part of the story, where they try to make it more of a brotherly love between Simone and
that is unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, you can obviously tell the yaoi fangirl go all over that film.
But one of the things that, I mean, the Japanese dub, like you say, it's good, but I mean, especially with a show like Gurren Lagann, it's so action-packed. I wanted to be looking at the action, but instead I had to sort of look my eyes back and forth in order to read the subtitles. And that's my biggest problem with shows, is that you have to divert your focus away from the actual show.
Now, because you said that, you are going to get... The point is, if you say that to people who love subs, they're going to say, no, I see the show just fine. But no, really, you don't. When you're reading those subs, you are missing a lot of the detail.
No offense to people who read the subs, but unless you got chameleon eyes going on, you're just lying to yourself and the other people around you.
Yeah, that's not to say that you can't, enjoy a show sub. Like, I saw Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood subbed because Funimation had the entire thing on their YouTube channel, and I watched all of that, and then I watched the Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood episodes when they aired on Adult Swim with the English dub, and I sort of was critical of the English dub because there were certain voice actors I thought did better in the Japanese dub. I personally think that the discussion really comes down to, like, what you see first is a big influence on which one you think is better, quote unquote.
I can say for the Full Metal dub, one thing I really have a problem is Hohenheim.
Really?
Yes, because you haven't seen the original series, but the Hohenheim they have for the original series, and he does not around much, but his voice actor is dead on, and I don't know who they changed it to, but whoever they did for the Brotherhood version.
Are you talking about the English dub or the
English dub?
Okay.
Because what happened is just for the original TV series, they had a solid cast, but the problem is with some of those minor roles like Hohenheim. I'm trying to think of some other ones like some of the ones that changed. Who are the people under Mustang?
Like Riza Hawkeye.
Not Riza Hawkeye, but the guy.
The lieutenant
Breda, those characters though, Breda and stuff. Their voice actors, I believe, changed from the original series to Brotherhood. And the problem is with the original series and how big of a hit it was. You really grow it. At least I did. I grew attached to those dub characters. And when you go to watch Brotherhood. I know there's some people who are in uproar like it's not the same Al, because they had to change the voice actor to what's her name?
Yeah, well, I believe in the original it was actually like a little boy, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
And now it's a girl.
Up. And if you watch the original film they did for that series, Conqueror of Shambhala, you can tell he's barely doing the Al voice because his voice is cracking, and it's like yeah, I can see why they had to do it for Brotherhood to change the voice actor, but yeah, and that didn't bother me. It's just
it bothered me a touch because in the like I said, I watched the Japanese sub first, and I think the Japanese sub had a little boy, doing the Japanese voice for the character. I kind of like that.
But we'll have to. That'll be an interesting thing. If we're gonna still try to go on the theory with sometime during the summertime when we come back, we're all gonna see the original Full Metal and then the Brotherhood.
Yeah, watch both animes basically over the whole summer break. Make that our discussion for when we come back, like a big mega episode or something.
See, now personally, I feel like we should, if we get like a day off sometime during spring quarter, I feel like we should just watch them like on Sunday and Monday. Just knock it all out, just like all in one big marathon.
Well, that would be ridiculous to try to do both shows.
No, in 2 days.
Well, but man,
2 days for both?
Why not?
Well,
I don't think that's possible.
Yeah, we'll talk about it.
48 hours.
49 episodes times half hour.
Yeah, plus 64 episodes
that's
of
the
Brotherhood.
First series.
That's right. There's 60.
So that would literally be us watching for like 48 hours straight.
What's your point? You never pulled off a 48 hour before?
Actually, no, I don't think I've had it. I've done 24 hours.
Mouse.
Never 48. Oh. And one other thing I just wanted to say real quick on the dubs versus subs thing is there are certain, like talking about dubs that we like better than the subs or whatever. There are some like
there are shows that are better subbed.
Well, that is certainly
like
true.
Princess Mononoke.
No.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen the sub.
I watched the dub, so I'm dedicated to the
dub. But like for me at least, with stuff like Dragon Ball Z or Pokemon, like I'm so used to those characters since I heard them as a kid in English. I don't think I could go to the Japanese sub, and especially with Dragon Ball, like I've seen clips of it on YouTube, and the voices are all these high pitched.
How is that any different?
Well, but at least it's like manly, in the English dub.
You don't have Christopher Sabat, the guy who plays
Vegeta,
and also plays in Full Metal.
Armstrong. Yeah.
How could you not remember Armstrong? That's like a crime.
Oh, and I remembered who you're trying to remember for probably Hughes, Lieutenant Hughes.
No, his voice actor is the same, Mike McFarlane.
Oh, okay, very cool.
So I love Hughes' voice.
Yeah. So I think in conclusion we're basically saying dubs have gotten a lot better since back in the day.
Except one thing I will make is if you're someone who watches, which I don't, but if you're a consumer of anime and you watch everything that Funimation puts out, you're going to hear the same voice. Like, I do have a problem with the same voice actress, like Colleen Klinkenberg, Michelle Ruff. I don't think she's necessarily a Funimation person, but when you hear these, or Laura Bailey annoyed the crap out of me. I heard her voice everywhere, and it really started killing me. It's when you start hearing those people over and over and over that, yeah, I would go to the sub because it's like, oh, that voice actor's in it? I went to sub because I did not want to hear that person's voice in another anime for the umpteenth time.
See, there's certain people I wouldn't mind hearing as much, like the guy who plays Spike.
Yeah, Steve Blum.
Yeah, Steve.
And also the guy who plays, I think his name is, it's like Jameson Price, I believe.
Lord
Genome.
Yeah, remember I told you in the first podcast that was my favorite. He's my favorite voice actor.
Anytime I hear them, it's like I don't care. They're such a good. I don't care.
Oh yeah, for the Count of Monte Cristo, because that's one of the shows we want to watch. He plays the Count.
Yeah, he's one of the main characters.
And he plays it so.
So yeah.
See, now, someone this is just my closing thought because we really do need to end the show. Do you know who I'd really love to see though in a dub? Just I don't care what he does.
Who?
I just want to see him. Tim Curry.
Oh, jeez. Well, he's done like American animation quite a bit.
I know he did. He's Nigel Thornberry.
That's true.
No, but I want to. Seriously though, I really want to see him because it was just on a couple days ago. Tim Curry is hilarious. He can be. Yeah,
he's
absolutely charismatic in a slightly disturbing way.
So he could do it. It's just. I don't know. I mean, I think with as long as it's not Funimation do it, but if you really wanted to, I bet you could hire. But it's a matter of, will you guys do this Japanese anime?
No, but here's the thing though. They convinced Tim Curry is one of the main characters in Red Alert 3. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure they can convince him to do it. But then again, that game also had George Takei, T.K. Simmons.
Bit of a high voice kid, which is
they weren't voicing it. They weren't just voicing it. They were actually in live action video clips.
Who was the gentleman who played one of the grandpa in Steam Boy? He's a very famous
Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
I love Patrick Stewart.
He did a good job in that movie.
I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of his live acting. He's a really.
But his voice.
I mean, excuse me, not his. I mean, like in plays, I'm not a big fan of his work. But like, I love him as Jean-Luc Picard. And oh my god, I'm gonna probably have to beat myself for saying it that way later. But anywho,
yeah.
Okay.
So we're basically saying the subs can be better. Dubs can be better.
It's all your personal preference. Like even with you said Princess Mononoke, I've seen the dub of that, and it really, honestly, it depends on how you see the series first, and then when you see it that way, that's etched in your mind of that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then when someone says, "Oh, I like the dub of it." No, what? I watched the sub. No, it shouldn't be that way.
No, the real reason I like Princess Mononoke's sub better is because of the ape men.
Oh.
But the first time they show up with their voices, it's like, oh my god, those things are pants-crappingly terrifying.
Yeah. All right, so let's move into a quick discussion here about what anime
we're watching next.
We're going to talk about, because we're about to go on our spring break, so it's going to be probably 3 weeks before we talk about it.
I'm going to keep throwing in the same suggestion I do every single time.
What? That's the Wolf something.
That one, Shinro the Wolf Brigade. It's a 2-hour movie. It's really good.
It's just how we're gonna get that.
Honestly, if someone has Netflix, we can just get together and watch it over Netflix.
We could do. How about we do that then? Because we're like, I want to watch for us to do Redline sometime this weekend, maybe on Sunday. So we could totally do that. I think.
It's interesting. I think we could do something like that. Like you talked about how you have DVDs of Cowboy Bebop, and we can all get together and watch them, or share the DVDs, or do stuff like that. But I think since we're going on spring break here, we want to have something that people can watch while they're at home, over the break. Something streaming, online.
And that
therein lies the problem.
Well, we talked a bit about the Count of Monte Cristo Gankutsuo, which is on Hulu.
That's your
and
Jameson
YouTube.
Price guy. So if you want to.
And how many episodes is it?
That is like 24, I believe it's 26 episodes.
That's not too bad.
Yes, that's a reasonable amount.
Not too bad. I really loved that series. It's actually what made me read the original novel, The Count of Monte Cristo, which is like 1,682 pages, which I love to death. That is my favorite novel in the world. You can't beat. I'm sorry, Harry Potter fans. You can't beat it.
Yeah. Well, you guys like that idea? Because I've heard great things about it, not just from Matt, but from other anime sites and
I'm
stuff.
all up for it.
Okay. So we'll make that the
Gankutsuo, the Count of Monte Cristo.
There we go. That'll be our one for next time. And now we're just about done. So if you'd like to contact us, you can email us at techheads@avwproductions.com. You can follow us on Twitter at techheadsou. I'm Darth Schmitz on Twitter. Matt?
I don't have a Twitter yet because no one likes my. I told you what it was, but I got no reaction out of it. So I assume that means it's not good.
No, just say it though.
Biscotti Lund.
Biscotti
Land. Biscotti Land. Because my full name is Matthew Scott Lund, and my sister always calls me Scotland. And I thought, okay, well, what do I can't do Scotland as a name, and it's like Biscotti. So I don't know. I didn't really get. No one really said, oh, that's good, or I don't know. I want to find someone that people like McTubbins, like Marks. Everyone likes that. I don't know.
You gotta think of something funny. And Jeremy is not on Twitter because he refuses.
And the end of the world would happen.
No, not the end of the world. The end of reality.
Oh. The reality as we know it. Yes, you can like Tech Heads on Facebook. Follow us. I already said to follow us on Twitter. You can subscribe, rate, and review our podcasts on iTunes. We have videos on the avwproductions.com website. We have some stuff on a YouTube page as well. So we got all sorts of cool content. New show called Bits and Bytes just premiered a couple days ago. And I think that's it for this episode of Shredded Cels. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you later.
I love Bulbasaur so much.
Pika-Pee!
Pikachu!
This product is copyright AVW Productions 2012.